So something Dave and I have been talking about, we're in like that $250 million range.
Mm-hmm.
We have 7 people on the team, 4 advisors, 3 support staff. And we're looking at hiring our next advisor. How do you decide when to make that next hire? We look at some of the ratios of like overhead, advisor pay, profit, and try to keep those in line. And we have some, for us, it's significant growth. I think maybe 40 million of new AUM in the last year. So like that's significant for our size.
For
so
sure.
Like
that's huge.
We need more advisors is what we're thinking. How did you guys decide when to make the next hire, and how do you go about that?
Yeah, I think if I could go back and talk to my younger self, it would be really fun to go back. When we started the company, I was 26. And if I could go back to my 26-year-old self and say, hey, just so you know, this is what's going to happen. This is where it's going to end up when you're 43. That 26-year-old version of me would be like, how?
Yeah.
Right. And the 43-year-old version of me would say, I have no idea. Like, I can't draw the map. I can't tell you what decisions meant what. All I did was take a step in the forward direction, and So there is a bit of this that there's, unfortunately, everybody wants to find the map that tells them exactly what to do that will always lead to the same results, and that's not real. But if I could go back, the thing I would tell that younger version of myself is hire ahead of the capacity curve. What we found was we didn't trust that the growth was going to sustain itself, that we weren't going to keep getting new clients. And so we would always let our employees get to a point where they're gulping water. They're trying to keep their head above water and they're just struggling. And then we would solve that problem with another staff person. But the problem is that new staff person has at least a 6-month ramp up time before that capacity is online. So that employee has been gulping water for a year before they're finally getting the relief. And by then somebody else is gulping water, right? So it's like a game of whack-a-mole.
Yeah.
And when you're approaching it that way, the problem is you're always bringing people in with what I would argue is probably a more nebulous description of what they're going to do, because you're saying, we are underwater and we just need help. And so we're not 100% sure, but you're probably going to be involved in some paperwork because they're bogging down. You're going to need to do some financial planning input because we're struggling to keep up with that. And you keep repeating the problem of bringing people in with 4 hats. And then you're assigning roles or work to people who have capacity, right? Like the joke that I said early on in our practice, the joke I would always say is basically we would walk around the hallway and we would say, oh, you look bored. Why don't you run all the reports for everyone from now on? Because you have some time. And then 3 years later, somebody's like, why does that person run the reports? And we're like, because they were bored one day, I guess. That's basically, it was like they had capacity, so we filled it. It's okay if people have capacity. It's okay if they've got some time with their feet up on their desk and they're thinking and they've got some space. What we're moving toward and have been still working through, but we've been moving toward the last 10 years, really focusing on people having a specialty and really doing what they're most gifted at. And the truth is advisors are gifted at different things. And so we bring advisors in and we find out what they really love about financial planning is getting in the weeds and the details. And when a client calls and they're scared, they don't want to do that. They want to go in and model projections and cash flows and tax, data. That's a different wiring than the person who's going to hold the client's hand when they're scared. And I'm the guy that wants to hold the client's hand when they're scared. I have absolutely no interest in the detail, right? I don't want to model anything. I suck at it. So why would I be the guy? That means I would be spending so much time in toil and stuff that I'm bad at and that I don't want to do. And that means the output is going to be worse. And so the more you specialize, the better you get. Because the people who are excellent at it are doing that.
James, that seems to be a pretty typical pathway for an advisor going, I used to do the detail and now I don't. Now I just do the relationship. Do you think that's for everybody, or is that just the typical pathway because that's the I don't want to say the easier way to make money, but it's the, well, if I can hire people to do the work, then all I have to do is talk to the person.
Right.
Do you think that's for everybody?
Well, it's not necessarily for everybody. We've had people that have come in and thought they wanted to become advisors, and what we find out is what they really want to be is financial planners. And in our world, that's different.
Okay.
Right. The way our business is set up, and just to kind of back up for a second, when we work for a client, we do their taxes, we do their estate design, and we pay for their estate documents to be prepared. We do all their financial planning, all their investment management, and it's all included in the investment management fee. So we don't charge separately. All those people are in-house. We're all working through everything together and coordinating everything. That's the secret sauce, right?